housing is a fundamental human right. The core goal of SDG 11 is to build inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities and human settlements. Article 25 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights stipulates that everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of themselves and their families, including food, clothing, housing, medical care, and social services, and the right to protection in the event of unemployment, illness, disability, old age, or incapacity.
The world is becoming increasingly urban. We'll need to build a new city for 1 million people every week to keep up, or manage the growth of the cities we already have. The battle for sustainable development will be won or lost in our cities, working with the rural areas on which they depend for food and natural resources. Mayors and local governments are already taking action to win this battle. We provide basic services and work with slum dwellers and neighbourhoods to upgrade their living conditions. We improve air quality by investing in public transport and green mobility. We protect the environment through sustainable waste management. We tackle urban segregation by ensuring quality green and public spaces for all. We protect urban cultural heritage for future generations. We monitor and regulate land use to make cities more resilient to climate change and disasters. We involve our communities in planning for inclusive and sustainable urbanisation. Local and regional governments seek strong partnerships with national governments to ensure enabling legal frameworks and adequate resources, and play our full role in achieving Sustainable Development Goal 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities. The Sustainable Development Agenda depends on local governments.
Main factors affecting house selection. 1. Geographic location. Living close to public transportation, employment centers, schools, and medical facilities can significantly enhance the quality of life. The land prices in the urban core area are high, making it unaffordable for B40 low-income group and M40 middle-income group to purchase. As a result, they are forced to live in the peripheral areas to price and financial capacity. The National Bank defines the affordable housing price as no more than 3 times a family's monthly income. Despite the government's plans, many B40 M40 families still have difficulty obtaining financing approval. 3. Eligibility and support program. PRIMA focuses on the middle-income group M40 versus the low-income group B40, with the goal of making homeownership in urban neighborhoods more accessible. Housing for middle-income earners is in short supply and in remote locations. RomaWIP aims to provide affordable and quality housing for first-time buyers who live, work, or were born in the 3 federal territories, Fata of Kuala, Lumpur, Putrajaya, and Labuan, and whose visual incomes fall within the lower and middle income groups. Fata projects with small unit sizes and limited amenities. PPR in Malaysia is a government affordable housing program for low-income groups. Provides rental or for-sale housing for low-income families, with management and maintenance issues for personal needs. The size of the family structure, multi-person households versus single individuals, leads to different demands for space, house type, and facilities. The demand for barrier-free design, children's play areas, or facilities suitable for the elderly is constantly increasing.
The government's proposal to take inspiration from Singapore's HDB flats to solve Malaysia's public and affordable housing woes has reignited debate around housing in Malaysia. Malaysia's low-cost homes come with a lack of facilities and space, are often known to be unclean, and a breeding ground for social ills. Making such flats livable is entirely in the hands of residents, who have to take matters into their own hands. Taman Industri Lembajaya Flats in Ampang, which houses former squatter urban settlers, is one of the better-kept low-cost flats in Malaysia, thanks to residents spending their money to decorate common spaces. But fundamental problems remain due to lack of amenities.
Bagi pengalaman saya dalam Peksa Puri, Yang paling ketara sikit adalah masalah tempat letak kereta atau parking lot. Kalau sebelum ni macam kos rendah, dia punya kota dia 2 rumah 1 kereta. Ini kita cerita 15 tahun, 20 tahun dulu. Jadi setelah 20 tahun, 15 tahun ke 20 tahun akan datang, yang anak satu family tu, satu rumah tu dah jadi 2-3 kereta. Dia dah tak boleh guna dah yang 2 rumah 1 kereta.
This flat is one of the cleanest in its category, thanks to the initiatives of its residents with the help of the State Assembly person. They manage it with a sense of pride. Every lift lobby floor is uniquely decorated, along with a makeshift communal space. All lifts are functional and there is no rubbish problem.
Yang kedua, bila orang luar datang, terutama bila kita buat kenduri, kita jumpa orang luar datang, jadi kita ada muka, ada harga diri. Kita tunjuk ni tempat tinggal kita. Bersih macam ni, cantik macam ni. Jadi kita boleh tukar persepsi orang luar. Kalau duduk rumah flat, orang flat mesti macam ni. Jadi bila dia datang sini, oh tak. Orang flat sekarang pun, kita punya pemikiran pun, kita sudah naik, sudah taraf hidup pun dah naik. Pemikiran pun dah beza. Sama macam orang yang duduk rumah kondo ke, duduk rumah teres ke. Jadi jangan bezakan orang duduk rumah flat ke, orang duduk rumah teres ke. Orang rumah flat mesti macam ni. Orang dia mesti macam ni.
If you put them in ugly places, faraway places, without any facilities, then they will behave like that. The place is dirty, then they will behave like garbage. But if you put them in a comfortable place, clean place, and not to say luxurious, but at least it's beautiful. You have all the greens, the plants, and all that. Then they will behave differently. They will be house proud. They will look after their properties, the common areas, and all that.
Well, let's begin with affordable housing, this perennial problem, Ibrahim. So the Housing and Local Government Minister Zuraida Kamarudin has announced today that 11 private developers will be launching some 15 affordable housing projects. Now, this will mean some 46,800 units of affordable homes will be available soon. So good news, because I believe the Pakatan Harapan government has promised to build some 100,000 units of affordable homes, capped at the price of 300,000 ringgit every year that they are in office in Putrajaya.
Okay, so, a few years ago, I remember both of us were talking about this on the radio. A few years ago, I'm
We're
like
still
5 years
talking about it now,
We're
right?
still talking about it right now. Think about it, right? Some statistics have come out because the rates published by the Department of Statistics includes ownership of informal houses. But even so, Malaysia's home ownership rate of 72.5%, meaning more than 2/3 of Malaysians already own home, and this is relatively high. Compared against the world.
Anecdotal evidence seems to suggest otherwise. If you're thinking that statistics show that 72% of Malaysians own their own homes, that's wonderful. That's way higher than most developed countries. But is this really the case?
This is apparently not the case based on various factors.
Sure.
But look, before we jump into the details, I just want to ask, is it really that important for you to own a home? Because when you talk about stagnating wages that can't chase or keep up with the inflation rate, you really have to start considering what are the assets that can make money and what are the assets that can't make money.
Well, a house is an investment, right? And like all investments...
So, is it really?
Yeah, it is an investment, but like all investments, it can be a good investment or a bad investment. You can lose money on it or you can make money on it.
Just like a car. People say that, a car is
it's always a depreciating asset, yeah.
But get this. A car gets you from point A to point B. You go, just don't drive around for the fun of it. You go to work with a car. You actually make money with a car. You freelance with a car. You moonlight with a car. And a car can double up as a Grab. Really, you start to consider
what can make you some money, right?
And pun intended, right? I mean, you start to consider what is a good investment or a bad investment, as per you, what you said. Is a car really a bad investment, a depreciating asset when it can actually make money? And is a house any type of housing for that matter is truly an investment in the long run,
Right.
when nobody seems to be able to sell the house at the right price.
Well, okay, so that depends on the landscape of the property market. And I do have to kind of clarify or go into a little bit of detail with that figure that we gave. 72% of Malaysians who own homes. It sounds very high, but what this, if you delve deeper into the statistics, this is according to the Department of Statistics, this home ownership figure actually includes informal housing, which includes rumah tinggal, includes settlers. So in reality, not that many Malaysians own their own homes. And what's more distressing, according to Bank Negara recently, they announced that houses in Malaysia are considered to be seriously unaffordable by international standards. And this is the way they've calculated this is that a house is deemed affordable if it's priced not more than 3 times of annual household income. So anything that's above that is considered very unaffordable. And that's the case right now.
Have you heard of home sellers? They go to town and they say, I'm waiting for the right time to sell my house.
But who can time the market? I mean, unless you have a crystal ball.
If you have a house and you want to sell it for 900,000 ringgit, let's say 1 million, one round million.
Nice figure.
And there's no one there to buy it, that means you got to lower your housing price. It's simple. That's how the market goes. In the pasar, you want to sell one chicken for $1 billion. Nobody will buy your single chicken for $1 billion. It's just like that.
Okay, and I think this is where a little bit of nuance comes into play, right? The housing market is often very difficult. The idea of supply and demand and the prices will adjust accordingly is in the ideal scenario, right? With all these factors, ideal factors. However, with the housing market, often what comes into play is that there are property developer lobbies. There are also the idea that somehow the property market is a systemic risk to the entire financial architecture because, when you take housing loans, you take mortgages, what if you default on those loans and those mortgages? You're talking about big companies that are going bust. It could be a problem for the economy as a whole. So all these sensitivities, I believe the government has to take into consideration.
Yeah, but
Having said that, I still think that there should be a solution. I mean, we've been talking about this for years,
I
and
agree.
it's just gotten worse every
It has
year.
gotten worse unless you're out of the housing market and you have no intention of buying the housing market. Suddenly, voila, you don't have a problem with the housing market. If if you live in a big town in KL, Penang, JB, and if you earn a salary of 3,000 ringgit and your partner earns a salary of 3,000 ringgit, so you have a 6,000 ringgit, disposable income, you start to wonder if 1/3 of that salary of yours, combined income, 2,000 ringgit, can that really afford you another home? If it can't, then get out of the market. Don't be, shopping around for a housing market that you can't afford.
Well, okay, let me give you some numbers, right? So, the government has said that affordable homes should be capped at 300,000 ringgit every year. Now, right now, newly launched houses are at an average price of 417,000 every year. That is significantly above what we consider to be affordable housing.
Yeah, and think about it, right? 417,000, monthly repayment is what, 3-4K? 3,000, 4,000 ringgit. That means if you still use the rule of thumb of 1/3 of your income to be paid for housing, you're supposed to be paying 3,000 ringgit. That means your salary is 9,000 ringgit. Are you really, really that capable to actually service that 3,000 ringgit installment house when that housing is actually priced at 420,000 ringgit?
Ibrahim, 80% of housing loan rejections this year was because the house was priced more than 3 times of the applicant's annual income ratio. So I think these are significant issues that not only the Housing Ministry will have to address, but also with the help of Bank Negara, with all the other economic planning units, will need to look at this as a whole and not just kind of silos.
What's fun about this? 2 years, 5 years from now, we're still going to be talking about the same thing. I'm so sorry. It's so pessimistic
I
of
hope
me.
that this problem will be solved, and make it a little bit easier for first-time home buyers like myself to purchase their own home if it fits within their financial goals.
Summary of Solutions 1. Strengthening policy and public strategies. 2. Enhancing financial literacy and accessibility. 3. Adopt innovative construction techniques. 4. Community design and social integration. Reflection. Why is homeownership important for national development? The significance of property ownership for national development is manifested in several crucial aspects, directly impacting economic stability, social order, and people's well-being. 1. economic stability. People who own houses are more likely to make long-term investments and consumption, thereby promoting economic growth too. Social stability, clear property rights reduce disputes, and enhance social harmony and the rule of law. 3. Financial development. Properties can be used as collateral, promoting bank loans and the activity of the financial market. 4. Government revenue, property taxes, and transaction taxes provide a stable source of funds for the government, which is used for public construction. 5. Urban development, property rights protection, encourages people to improve their housing, promoting urban renewal and progress in infrastructure. In conclusion, ownership of property can enhance the economy, stabilize society, and contribute to the long-term prosperity of the country. Housing is not merely a living space, but also the foundation of an individual's stable life, which is related to social equity, economic health, and sustainable urban development. If a country can ensure that its citizens have affordable, decent, and safe housing, it can promote social stability, reduce homelessness, improve the quality of life, and enhance community cohesion. It can also drive economic development by boosting the construction, finance and manufacturing industries, and creating jobs. Narrowing the wealth gap can help the B40-M40 group break the cycle of poverty and achieve social mobility. Building sustainable cities can optimize urban spatial layout and alleviate the pressure of urbanization. By doing so, we are not only building homes, but also establishing a strong future for our country.